Welcome to the Scared So What podcast. I'm your host, Dr. Grant Van Ulbrich. This is the show where we break through the fear of change and ask the question, scared? So what? Each week we dive into personal change management, coaching, and leadership for the future, giving you real-world tools, insights, and stories to help you lead yourself and others through transformation. Whether you're navigating change in your life, your career, or your organization, this is your space to learn, to grow, and to take bold action. So, are you ready? Let's move from fear to forward. Hello, and welcome to the Scared So What podcast. I'm Dr. Grant, your host, and I hope you're having a blessed day. Well, it is sunny here in London, which, if you've lived here before or even traveled here, is something of a rarity. But wow, when it comes out, it's such a beautiful day. We got up this morning and we walked from here in Chelsea over to Battersea Park, got to explore the park, and there were just people everywhere. People and families and animals. It was just a beautiful morning to come and enjoy the outdoors. And wherever you are, I hope that your world is safe and well and warm as well too. So, thanks for joining us. Today's episode is episode 4, How to Use Scared So What in Everyday Life. And I've been asked that question many times over the years. Well, how can you use this in everyday life? You know, when you explain Scared So What to people, as we did in episode 1, we talked about the overall program. What are we out here to talk about? And episode 2 was about scared. Episode 3 is about so what. And today we're just going to blend it together. How do we use it in everyday speak, everyday think, and everyday terms? You know, because change is constant. It is everywhere. That's the one thing that you absolutely will experience every day of your life is change. If you're breathing, you're experiencing change, right? Because time passes on. Time and events always happen every single day, and they're hopefully never the same. And hopefully they're not really bad, but the bad things do happen, don't they? And this is where we can really empower ourselves to learn how can we make the best decisions possible. And so people over the years have asked me, they're like, Grant, how do you use this in everyday, real life scenarios? And do you have to use both of the models, scared and so what, at the same time? And the answer is no. You don't have to use them both at the same time. But I want you to reflect back for just a little bit. Think back when you were younger. Did you ever have a change situation that happened to you and you just got into this ball of stress, anxiety, fear, worry? Doesn't matter if it's a positive change or a negative change. Let's think about that for a moment. Positive change, what is that? Well, I'm sure you can reflect and think on many things that have happened to you that are positive over your lives. But if you start from your early years, it could be just changing a grade or changing a level, right? Going from one to the next. It could be moving to a new town. It could be passing some subjects and passing some tests, etc. It could be starting in the music department, in the band, right? Or maybe getting that position on the football team or the rugby team. Whatever it may be, if it's positive change, that actually can bring you fear as well, whether you realize it or not. And if you think about it, um, getting into those new scenarios, sometimes you still have that nervous anxiety, right? That nervous stress. Sometimes you breathe faster. Sometimes you get the goosebumps and the hair starts to stand up, and you get just a little bit anxious of, well, great, this is great, but what am I going to do? Or how do I do this, right? Change is very interesting in the fact that it doesn't matter if it's positive, neutral, or negative. Your mind and your body react the same way. It starts off with your mind saying, hey, something's new here. Could be great. Could be something that we really like. Not sure how we feel about this, right? What are we going to do? But it also can be, that's just a change that's happening to my friends or around me. And I'm aware of it, but it doesn't really affect me. But yet I should still be cognizant of it, right? I should still be aware of it. It also could be, you know what? I don't like this change at all, and I'm going to shut down, um, consciously shut down. I'm just going to try to avoid this. But that rarely works for us. And so, again, on the energy spectrum, change can hit you from all different sides. But how do you manage that? So, what we've developed with Scared So What is a two-part methodology for you to actually learn how to think about personal change and how you can manage it when it does become personal to you. So the first part is scared. How do you process your feelings? Now, a lot of people will say, I don't really want to share my feelings with you. Or maybe I don't really want to admit that I have these feelings, and that's okay. You don't have to. But guess what? You still have them, whether you want to tell anybody or not. If you're a human being, you have feelings. Each and every one of us do. And this is where your mind is telling you how you feel one way or another about a certain situation. And sometimes you get caught in confusion. And that's where I took you back just a while ago. When you were younger or in any part of your life, even today, and you experienced change and you expressed it with someone, and you said, Mom, this is how I'm feeling about this, and I don't know what to do. Dad, I don't know what I should do about this. Or could it be your brothers, your siblings, or maybe a teacher, anyone? Anytime change hits you, we typically react in some way, shape, or form. But the interesting thing to note is, what did they say to you? Did they say, don't worry about it, son. You'll be okay. Just get on with it. It's not that significant. You're making too much out of this, right? Sound familiar? Or, don't worry at all. It's going to be fine. I'll be here to help you every step of the way. And maybe, you got a mix of emotions and a mix of responses. But the unique thing is if you reflect in that moment, probably about for a minute or two, maybe three max, that kindness, that generosity, that reassurance made you feel good just for a little bit. But as soon as you turned away, guess what happens? Your mind kicks back in saying, well, but how am I supposed to do this? Or I'm not too sure about that. Or I don't know what I'm going to do. Can't somebody just tell me what to do? And this is where assumption starts to come into play. This is where your anxiety starts to raise up, fear, worry starts to set in, and that confusion really starts to set in. And this is no fault of your own. And it is no fault of the kind people who are trying to care for you and appease you and make sure that you know you'll be okay. That's from their perspective. It's not from yours. And that's where the disconnection happens. Most people have not been taught how to manage personal change for themselves, let alone others. So all they can offer you is, a platitude, a moment of kindness, an extension of care. And that's okay. And it's worked for many people for years on. But if you'd like to learn how to embrace change and make different decisions and actually start to get yourself ahead of the change so you can manage it, then Scared might work for you. It's been working for thousands of people around the world already, and we're just starting this movement. Personal change management is new. Organizational change management has been around for nearly a century, with all types of organizational change models, but there is a key element that is missing in them. You. That's right. They weren't designed for you. Scared So What is designed for you. And why is that? Because I made it in our research program at Middlesex University here in London. I made this all about the way you actually think and the way that you can accept change, the way you can be caught in confusion and misunderstanding about change, and also allowing you the ability and recognizing that you have the ability and the power to reject change, right? That's critically important, and you will not see that in organizational change models because they don't want to allow you to reject change. They want to force you to accept it and move on because it's about the organization and not you. This is where Scared is very powerful. It empowers you to get into critical reflection, start to break down your feelings about a change so that you can make the best decision possible for you, right? So, how do I do it? All right, well, you're at work, and the boss comes over and says, hey, guess what? We're having a reorg. Next Tuesday, the whole company's going to make announcements about a whole new reorg, and that's all they give you. Well, that's kind of a scary change, right? A new reorg? Well, what am I going to do, right? He didn't give me any more information. Is he telling me something? Is he telling me that I'm going to lose my job? Here you go. you start to get into the normal fears, that uncertainty and doubt, you can use scared at this moment. Instead of going straight into fear and assumption and succumbing to that, you can actually say, all right, am I surprised by this? Yeah, I'm surprised. This is typically not a good sign that you hear at work when they announce next week there's going to be an org restructure announcement, right? That's typically not very good. Am I conflicted about it or do I champion it? Well, you know what? I'm in conflict right now. I don't think I like this. Just because history has shown reorgs are typically scary, right? All right. Well, what actions could I do? Oh, there's interesting. What could I do? What can I do? Well, you said I have to wait until next week. Well, maybe I could actually go and schedule a meeting with him or human resources and say, and ask them point blank, do I have something to be worried about? And I could actually get information that's valid. That's something I could do. Okay, great. How do I feel about that now? Am I more receptive to this or am I rejecting it? Well, I think I'm still in the middle a little bit because I need to find out what the information is, right? I'm feeling a little bit okay because I've got a direction of where I want to go, but yet I'm still uncertain. Okay. Could I explore any other options or opportunities? Yes, let me schedule that meeting. Let me go ahead and schedule that call before I start to panic. And what decision can I make? Well, I've decided that I'm going to take some action. I'm going to schedule the meeting with my boss or with human resources, and I'm not going to wait till next Tuesday. I want to know now. So, scared. It is a quick process that it can allow you to critically think of what you could do so that you can make an informed decision based off of information. In the A process, which was actions, that's where I said, what could I do? I started to ask myself, well, what can I do? And I can find solutions. Now, if you start to learn to use this as a reflective model, then you can get yourself out of that fear, that stress, and you won't be making decisions based on assumption. And that's a beautiful place to be. So, scared can be used mentally, just like a cognitive skill, learning how to ride a bike, learning how to walk, learning how to dance. Maybe not too great, but I dance very quite poorly. But you know what? I still do it. You can learn this. It becomes a cognitive skill set. And far often you will find that you can use scared almost daily in many instances. It's a way of thinking. So what is a different story. So what is a tool? It's a mental tool, but it also can become a practical tool. And so what is about, all right, well, what's my strategy or what is my plan? Let's say that we got the information. It was next Tuesday with that reorg announcement, and we got the information that, well, guess what? While they are going to do a reorg, most of us are going to be just fine. In fact, many of us are going to be promoted and our salaries are going to be adjusted. A few people might have to go, but they're not leaving. They're going to repurpose them and put them into other roles. This happens so often in work. We hear about reorg, we hear about work changes, and we go into that fear, worry, assumption. And this is very common globally. And what we often find is, yeah, sometimes it is scary, and sometimes, yeah, people are going to be let go. But you know what? If you get ahead of the game and you find out what the answers are and find out what's going to happen, you also give yourself time to think of, well, what could be my strategy? Is there an opportunity here in this conflict for me to reinvent myself? And the answer far often can be yes. And I personally have done this about 5 times within my career. Just learning about what is the change that's happening and how can I take control and manage it in the way that I want, not the way someone else's wants. So again, strategy. What is my strategy? What I'm going to do? What are the options? What can I do? Can I ask people for advice? Can I schedule meetings? Can I do phone calls? Can I do research? There's always something you can do. What are those actions and what would your plan be? And then do you have a way forward? That's typically a yes or no. Do you see how your plan's going to work? Do you have hope that it's going to work or do you know how it's going to work? You need to. If you don't have hope, it won't work. If you do have hope, well, then guess what? You're more ready to put energy behind making it work. What actions do you need to take to make it work? And finally, what does taking ownership look like? And remember, in our last episode, we talked about that. The most important element is rewarding yourself for taking courage to actually manage the change in the way that you want. So these are two scenarios. Scared can be used literally anytime, any day, anywhere. And if you download our free app on the Apple or Android store, it's called Scared So What, you can actually do this inside the app and get the change out of your head. It doesn't have to be scary and you don't have to be alone. You can actually take a quick little 5-minute quiz, see how you feel about it, and guess what? Your results will populate. And there you have a little coach that tells you exactly what each of your scores mean. So you can actually start to manage the change and get the fear out of your head and turn it into something tangible. That's brilliant. Likewise, if the change is strong enough and requires work, you actually can build your own so what plan right there in the app. So, everyday life, folks, wherever you are, there's always going to be instances of change that are going to happen to you. Maybe they're political, maybe they are local and environmental, maybe they're economical, maybe they're familial. Whatever they are, you have a choice. You can live in fear and assumption and worry and feel the pressures of that with stress and anxiety as it mounts on your body. Stress takes a horrible toll on our bodies. Just having to rub your shoulders, that anxiety, that tension in the back of your head and neck, your back, your gut, and also headaches that come through. Try to avoid all of that by actually breaking down the change with scared. Okay? And then saying to yourself, well, so what? What's my so what? And can you help others experiencing personal change crises? The answer is yes. And you absolutely can. Scared So What can be used as a coaching model. I know one of our upcoming episodes will dive into that. How do you coach people through personal change? And parents, pay particularly special attention here because this is a beautiful way to transfer ownership. So think about your children. When we were doing the research, we worked across Europe, Middle East, and Africa. And we had children as young as 14 years of age who learned this model and were saying, Mom, Dad, this is how you manage change. Don't be scared. Make your own so what. And you know what? Out of the mouths of children. When you let go your unconscious bias about what you know or you don't know, and you open your mind to learn, that's where beautiful things can happen. So, where can you use and how can you use Scared So What in everyday life? The answer is everywhere. In every change situation, you can stop and ask yourself the questions. Am I scared? Am I surprised about this? Am I conflicted or do I champion this? What actions can I do? Am I receptive? Do I reject this change? Could I explore any other options? And what decision can I make? Great. Now I know how I feel about this. All right. So what? What's my so what? What's my strategy? What are the options? Do I have a way forward? Do I have hope or do I know how this is going to work? What actions do I need to take? And how do I take ownership? Okay. And in our research, we found out that over 1,200 people we researched and polled and asked the questions, do you find one or the other of the model more valid? Meaning, do you like scared or do you like so what? Or do you like both? And it was very interesting. Over 50% said, well, I really enjoy the scared portion of the model because I want to understand my feelings and get out of that fear, worry, and assumption. The lesser part said, you know what? Well, I really just want to get on with it. I want to get on with and understand how to make the best decisions and the best plan. So that's where I'll use so what. But nearly 98% of those polled said that you absolutely probably should use both models together because that's where you get the best out of it. You process your feelings about the change and you make your own plan. What will you do? How will you use Scared So What? Will you download the free app and learn today how you can manage that? Do you have a friend that needs help in managing change and crises that are happening throughout them? Maybe help to improve critical thinking and critical reflection. Make sure you share the app with them as well too. I've made it free for individuals all over the world. And when you go into the Apple Store, there's two Scared So What apps. It's the one that's orange. That's the first one. That is the free one. If you want this at work, that's the professional one, the pro one, and it has a lot more bells and whistles, but it also allows the organization to see change live for the first time. No more surveys, no more distrust. It's all 100% anonymous, and I know because I built it that way. I want to protect the integrity and the importance of our people's data. But at work, we can actually now see change real time with Scared So What Pro. If you're interested in any of this, please give me a call. And maybe if you're interested in being on the show, send me an email. Tell me your story about how you're using Scared So What. And I would love to visit with you and maybe we can get you on the show. So I'm here in London. This is Dr. Grant. If you want to email me, my email is info@scaredsowhat.com. And that again is info@scaredsowhat.com. I hope you have a blessed week. Take care. Thanks for joining us here on the Scared So What podcast. I'm your host, Dr. Grant Van Ulbrich. If you found any of this information insightful, well, give us a like and follow along. Make sure that you tune in each week for more episodes as we talk further about what is personal change, how do you manage it with Scared So what about coaching, and also leadership, and how all three of these tie together. If you'd like to learn more, then go to our website at www.scaredsowhat.com. Thanks so much for listening, and I hope that you come back soon.